In this morning's GMA On Call, the story of two young sisters, both afflicted with a rare genetic condition called pompe disease. For years, no hope for those facing the disease, but recently, the FDA approved the first ever treatment, a medical breakthrough that changed one family's fate. Dr. Tim Johnson has their story.
This is a tale of life, love, and the extraordinary bonds of sisterhood. Little Megan and Kelsey were sisters, but never really got the chance to know each other. A deadly disease would disrupt both their lives. One would get a chance at life, the other would not.
You just keep on holding on. You just keep hoping, because without that, then, there's nothing there.
Kelsey was Deb and Greg Osnick's first child, born 8 years before Megan.
We noticed that she was behind, that she was delayed, but it was always on the later end of what all the other kids were doing.
Doctors found that Kelsey had an enlarged heart, and more tests led to the diagnosis of a rare and fatal disorder called pompe disease. The disease weakens the body's muscles, including the heart.
Sugars that usually are used for energy build up inside the cells and cause weakness in the muscle.
But in 1994, there was no treatment for Kelsey or other kids like her. Most children with this diagnosis didn't live past infancy.
For these children, really all that could be done was to try to maximize their quality of life until they died.
It was just waiting. You just had to wait.
Kelsey lived at home on a ventilator, her muscles slowly deteriorating. She never walked, but she was a fighter and lived well beyond doctors' expectations. Soon, Deb and Greg had 3 more children, Tyler, Hope, and little Megan. Then, more terrible news. An enlarged heart showed that 6-week-old Megan also had pompe disease. Just a few months later, sister Kelsey passed away at age 9.
And that Sunday, we disconnected her from her trach. And that was very difficult.
But in an incredible twist of fate, the Osinks learned from friends at Kelsey's funeral that baby Megan would be eligible for an experimental treatment called Myozyme, the first of its kind.
We went from losing our daughter to getting a daughter back. So, it was almost like Kelsey gave her life for Megan.
Megan was one of the first patients to receive the enzyme replacement in clinical trials. She was just 18 months old. She was already starting to show signs of the disease. But as the therapy continued and the months passed, Megan's muscles started to get stronger.
She went from not walking, not being able to put weight on her legs, to crawling all over and pulling herself up onto her legs.
But what most impressed doctors was Megan's heart, which no longer had evidence of disease. The experimental enzyme treatment was working. Today, Megan is a happy 4-year-old.
There you go, babe.
Every 2 weeks for an entire day, Megan receives a transfusion of the enzyme her body doesn't make. Her progress has been remarkable.
How about you jump, Meg? You jump.
You jump, Maggie?
All right. Good job.
Megan walks, a little unsteady at times, but is able to keep up with her sister, Hope. Speaking is difficult, but she's working with a therapist to help strengthen her weak facial muscles.
Group hug?
Because Megan is one of the first people to receive this treatment, doctors don't know if her progression will continue. But her family is eternally grateful that Megan now has a chance to fight for her life in honor of a sister who bravely lost her own.
Mwah.
My goodness, what a story, Tim. You're now joining us from Boston, and so good to see Megan doing well. Is there any testing, any screening that can be done to detect this disease, Tim?
Well, there is testing both prenatally and after birth. If a family wants prenatal testing, it can be done through amniocentesis or villus sampling. There's a rapid screening test available after birth, and now that there is a treatment available and just approved by the FDA, experts are talking about the possibility of making that test maybe part of routine infant screening.
That would be fantastic. What about the cost for this new treatment, Tim?
Well, that's a huge issue. Without any insurance or other support, the cost would be well over $100,000. Obviously, most families can't afford that. Some insurance is paying, government is looking into it, and the company, Myozyme, has said that they will make sure that any child who can benefit from it will get it regardless of cost. That's been true during the studies. We'll see what happens now, but that's going to be a real issue.
That will be a real issue. And Tim, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention.